Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Path of Exile 2 video here. Today just going to be showing you the current status of the build. And I did opt to go for Giant's Blood, so real quick we'll just kind of look at the passive tree. So, still only have 2 Ascendancies. I just went for Hulking Form this time. The first time I made a Titan, I went to Ancestral Empowerment first. But I feel like for leveling, Colossal Capacity and Hulking Form is just really nice and makes the leveling experience really smooth. And then you don't have to run into that issue where later on down the road you get Hulking Form and then now like some of your stats are just off. So you can kind of plan the build a little bit better. So this is what the tree looks like. We did, like I said, go for Giant's Blood. I personally would not, you know, with the nerf to Giant's Blood as far as life goes, I think the only way you can make it work, and the only thing I would recommend, like that makes the build worth it, is there's certain skills that require a two-handed mace, most notably Supercharged Slam. So I really think that unless you're using Supercharged Slam, it might be better, honestly, to just use a one-handed mace and then just, you know, build a little differently around that. I did have the thought of potentially, you know, going Energy Shield armor-based character and try and make up for that lost life with Energy Shield, but for the moment, I've decided against that. I potentially, you know, could change that down the road. I don't know if they've changed some of the stats on gear, but just looking at some of the higher level gear, like the amount of armor on a full armor, like strength-based shield, is easily, you know, you can easily get like 3,000 armor on a, you know, decently rolled rare shield, whereas with an Energy Shield armor hybrid, you're gonna be lucky to get like 500 armor. So I am against, you know, what most people would say, testing out the armor applies to elemental damage mods, and at least leveling so far, it's pretty solid. You know, I have pretty crap resists. Most of my playthrough I've had like 0, but just the armor from elemental damage has, you know, worked pretty well. So I actually have over 100% right now, so you can see, and this is how I assumed it would work, but I have enough armor applying to elemental damage mods that I'm actually getting over 100%. And when you also pick up some nodes like this, 200% of armor against critical hits, I assume it should also work with elemental crits. So that, you know, is just going to further strengthen your defenses against elemental damage. But right now, you know, I have it on, I think, my gloves and my chest and my shield. So, plus, you know, a little bit on the passive tree. The more of it you can get, obviously, the stronger it's going to be. And, you know, that's just kind of where it's at. I do also, you know, have quite a bit of defenses and blocks. I'm at 50% block chance with a maximum block of 54%. So I'll definitely pick up those last, you know, few points. With them, you know, nerfing max block chance a little bit, it makes it at least easier to hit the cap, so you don't feel like you need to invest, you know, too heavily into block. But what I plan on doing, and you can see, like, I'll just let stuff hit me. You know, don't really take a whole lot of damage. You know, fairly survivable. It did suck though to lose all of that health. So sorry, I'm just kind of talking, so I'm not really showing you the build here, but you know, and the blind here, it's unfortunate, but they also nerfed. They nerfed Resolute Technique, so I'm not really sure if it's worth it anymore or not, because never critting and then just doubling your accuracy, I don't know how good that is. But what was I kind of lost my train of thought there. So basically what I'm trying to do is get a ton of area of effect, and this is going to be a burning and, you know, high strength, high physical damage build, burning as well. So we'll just kind of gather up some enemies here and we'll show you what this looks like. You don't even really necessarily have to like fully charge it. You can just, you know, I usually just tap it once. That's good enough for trash mobs. Don't really need to charge it for anything less than like a rare or maybe a champion pack, but even then. Active block is also significantly improved, so I do use active block quite regularly. We'll just kind of show you what that looks like, but yeah, I mean, we do this, we war cry, and then we tap that. It's gonna kill pretty much everything on the screen. You know, we'll have to wait to see till we get to maps just how well this works in maps, because everything's faster in maps and it does more damage. But I am fairly confident that I'll be able to make this work. There's a lot of just new nodes on the tree that are very good for this build. I'll just show you a couple that I'm talking about here. So this life leech from empowered attacks is instant, and if you look at I did not know this until just, you know, recently as I was, you know, planning out the build, but ancestrally boosted attacks count as being empowered. So also they're empowered when you war cry. So pretty much you can have like almost every attack be empowered, and that's going to give you instant life leech. So that's kind of crazy. That's like Veil Pact from PoE 1, as well as still having regular life regeneration. So that to me is crazy strong. I did lose, you know, you do lose half the bonus life from strength. So instead of getting 2 life per strength, now I only get 1. So I lost like 300 HP when I got Giant's Blood, but we'll make that up in the long run with the gear requirements being reduced significantly for this patch. I only need about another 50 strength or so, give or take. Maybe even less if I can get an item with reduced stat requirements on it. So I don't plan to invest as heavily into strength as I did on my last character, because I think the, you know, benefit is not as high. But I still do plan on, like, I'm going to get this, because that's going to give me quite a bit of extra accuracy, which we will need, especially with how we're turning, my plan is to turn Supercharged Slam into basically a ranged attack by taking all or as many area of effect nodes as I can. We're going to utilize the 50% armor on heavy stun, along with 100% increased armor break. And then this new node here, so fully broken armor, will also affect fire and damage taken from hits. And then we are also going to utilize just burn damage in general, because now you just basically have to do fire damage to burn stuff. So between Infernal Cry and then having like just added fire damage or fire attunement, that's a lot of extra fire damage. I'm also going to pick up this. That's, you know, extra fire damage based off physical damage. And potentially, you know, if I can come up here and get this, I will, or maybe I will, you know, put it onto my amulet. It's a little far up here. I do plan potentially on coming up here and getting all these extra defenses from shield nodes. Those, you know, you could easily get maybe like 10k armor off of a good shield, just like base armor, and that would be just like massive for defenses. So that's kind of the plan right now. And then this here too, just for the increased stun threshold. You know, might pick this up again, not 100% sure. But yeah, this node I believe used to be like over here in this area, so it being over here now is very good. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm still not 100% sure. Like, I'm definitely gonna get this. I need to get this, and then you know, 100% increased armor break, which, you know, is easy for me to get. I just haven't entirely decided how I want to do it. May just pick these up here and then see if I can get like 15% on a jewel, because I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I think this would be fairly strong, like increasing the effect of fully broken armor, but I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if that's a multiplier to all of your damage, or if it, when it's like damage taken from hits, or if it's just increased damage like along with all your other increased damage nodes. So that's kind of where the build's at. These nodes here, I also am definitely going to get these, because those are really strong. It's going to just make your ancestrally boosted attacks way stronger. So again, once we get this, every second attack, every second slam will be ancestrally boosted. So that is kind of where we are at right now. But it's just going to be huge hits from physical and then added like extra fire damage. And then, you know, the burn damage you don't even have to spec into anymore, which is like kind of crazy, because it saves you gem slots, it saves you just a ton of stuff. So basically, you know, that's the build at the moment. We'll just kind of like demonstrate here on this abyssal area, just kind of what it looks like. Oh, that hurt. But yeah, the multiple impacts do quite a lot on when you have the fire stuff down on the ground. And it's also just kind of nice to have a ranged attack as a melee character, just throwing your hammer and stuff. So that is the build at the moment, guys. Again, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, really appreciate it. It helps me out. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember to give them the D.